Hey y'all, welcome to the WoolJewel podcast. I'm Caitlin, and this is a podcast about knitting, crafting, and all things woolly. I stashed my yarn in Steinbend in Germany. Let me know where you keep yours in the comments. Grab your knitting and let's get started. Okay, so my first segment is my finished objects, and I actually don't have any new ones for this week. I will talk about the sweater that I'm wearing though, because it technically counts as a finished object. So this is the Mezzo cardigan by Alexis Winslow. So in the pattern, she has you have a DK and a fingering weight held together. You keep one yarn the same all the way throughout the cardigan, and then you swap out the second color to get a different color blocking effect, but then you do have the main color throughout to kind of tie it all together, so it's not too harsh of a color blocking. I actually did alpaca DK or sport weight. I'll show it to you here. It's really soft and squishy. I love it. It's from Rumpelstiltskin in Sacramento. And this is their own yarn. And I bought a ton of it because it's really soft and really affordable for the amount that you're getting. This is about 700 yards. And it was less than 30 bucks. So I think that that's a pretty good price. I don't think they have an online shop, but if you are interested, they're really helpful and nice, and I'm sure if you gave them a call or sent them an email, they'd be able to send you some. So I held this tan alpaca throughout, and then what I did was, instead of a fingering weight, I swapped out different mohairs because I have so many different kinds of mohairs that I never use, and the alpaca had such a nice halo, and I kind of wanted to accentuate it and make it super fuzzy, and it is. It's awesome. Here's a couple of the mohairs that I did. This one is what's left over. I don't know if you can see it. This is a Walk Collection yarn, and they are based in Germany, and they have beautiful hand-dyed colors. I think this one is called Seashell in the mohair, and a lot of their mohairs have a corresponding fingering weight that you can hold together, and it looks really pretty. And then this one I picked up at Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam. This is a Hedgehog Fibers, I think. I don't remember the exact colorway, but if anyone's interested, I can look it up. So I just kind of used all of my stashed mohairs in bluish, silvery colors, and you can see how it all kind of worked out in the video that I inserted. But I love it. It's super soft and warm, and it doesn't really technically have sleeves. It just kind of is a cocoon cardigan, but it's super warm because it's alpaca, so I don't even want sleeves. Okay, so moving on to whips. I've got a lot of works in progress right now. I won't show all of the ones that I showed you last week because I did make some progress, like the Gambier jacket. I did make a little progress on that, but I really just started one of the sleeves, and the color work is identical to the color work on the body of the jacket, so I won't show that here. I think February 15th the pattern is being released, so keep an eye out for that. If you want to get an idea of what the whole jacket looks like, you can look up the Gambier jacket. The women's version is already released, so I will link to that below. So I did cast on a new project this week, and I'm almost done. It was almost an FO. Started a little pair of socks for myself. Here they are. And I can't decide how much further to do. I usually get impatient, and I like shorty socks anyway, so I don't know. I think for once I'm going to actually do a normal length cuff instead of keeping them really short, because I just need to use up this yarn. This is Madeline Tosh sock yarn in the color Holy Grunge, I think. It's kind of like their Holy Festival color, except it has a tan base instead of white, I think. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't have the foresight to make the toe in the contrast pink. I really like this pink. and I needed to use up the scraps, but I thought, hey, I'm going to start some socks, and I just grabbed a yarn that I liked, and I didn't really think to coordinate it ahead of time. So the toes won't be contrasting, but I'm going to do a stripe at the top of the cuff in this pink color also. I'm using a broken seed stitch, so it's basically seed stitch with a row of knit stitches in between. It keeps it interesting without me having to actually count and keep track of stuff. So yeah, I only started knitting socks this past year, and as a beginner sock knitter, I asked a bunch of experienced knitters what they thought would be doable for me, because I've always been afraid to knit socks. I had a lot of people suggest the Fish Lips Kiss Heel pattern, which is really just a heel pattern, but she kind of includes so much information that you could knit a whole sock out of it. She tells you how to make her pattern fit every foot. She explains why. She's put a lot of research, and it was the best dollar I've ever spent. It's only $1, so go buy it. It's awesome, and it's easy to memorize. I have used that pattern for everyone in my family. I have 3 sisters, both my parents, my husband, my mother-in-law, and a brother-in-law, and it has fit every single person, and they weren't even here for me to have them try it on. And so I don't know, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm gonna keep doing it until I have a reason not to. So I like doing toe up, but the pattern does have an option to do cuff down if you prefer to do it that way. So my sock recipe, I guess, is always 2 at a time. Even my first pair of socks was 2 at a time on 2 circulars or a magic loop, but I think I prefer the 2 circulars. I do Judy's Magic Cast On for the toes, and then I increase, and this is part of the Fish Lips Kiss pattern. It tells you how to know how many to increase to make it the perfect fitting sock, and then you just knit until you're ready for the heel, and that's part of the pattern too. But it's endlessly customizable. You can do any stitch pattern you want, you can add stripes, you can do anything because it's a sock recipe and not a sock pattern. I'm just gonna keep using this because I don't see any reason not to, and it fits every time. So I've heard lots of different kinds of heels just don't work on certain types of feet, but so far this has worked on every different type of foot that I have tried it on. Sorry, coffee. And I have my little Cheshire Cat mug that my husband picked up for me in London. I love it. Yeah, so that's my typical sock recipe. We'll see if I have these finished. I probably will have these finished next week, and we'll block them and everything. I don't have sock blockers, but I'll try to make them look nice so I can show you. So another new whip I've got this week is the Cozy Memories blanket. I'm totally jumping on the bandwagon. Everybody's doing this right now, and I don't see why anybody shouldn't do this because everybody's got sock scraps, pretty much. And you could even do this in like a DK weight or something. It would be really easy to change if you typically use worsted or DK instead of fingering weight. But I have so many sock yarns that I don't know what to do with. And since my feet are pretty small, I can usually squeeze 2 entire pairs of socks out of 1 skein of sock yarn if I'm doing the typical shorty length that I do. So even after I knit a pair of socks, I usually don't actually knit another pair of socks because I would get bored using the same yarn, so I just keep about a half a skein just hanging out. So I'm excited to put it into use with this. And if you caught my first episode, I was wearing my building blocks shawl. So my first 4 colors in my Cozy Memories blanket are from that. And then this is a yarn that I put into a shawl that was a wedding gift for a friend. So I'll probably include the other colors from that shawl next. I'm going to try to keep all the projects colors in line, kind of keep them in order so I can look at them and see all of my projects in my blanket. I think that'll be fun. This could potentially take years to complete. I'm not sure how big I want to do it. I kind of want it to cover my queen size bed, but that is a little ambitious. And my husband wants it to just be a throw on the couch. So I don't know, as it grows, maybe I'll see how long it's actually taking me, and I don't know, we'll see. That's a good kind of wing it project, and right now it's really little, so I can keep it in this, it's not even a project bag, it's like for needles and hooks and stuff like that, but it fits in here right now, so I love it. It's flat, fits in my purse, take it anywhere. One day it will not be small enough to take anywhere. So last week I did talk about my Chances wrap. I haven't actually made any progress on it this week. I haven't picked it up in a while, but I did want to at least talk about the reason why I love it so much, because I was just rambling in the last episode. I didn't even get to it and I totally forgot. So people have their own ways of dealing with loose ends. I know a lot of people hate having them dangling everywhere, but some people hate to weave them in more than they hate them dangling everywhere, and I'm totally on the fence. Sometimes I can't stand them being in the way, and other times I just really don't want to weave them in, so that I let them dangle. But this pattern specifically asks you to leave them dangling. You're not supposed to weave them all in, because apparently when I get to the end of the project, there is a border or something that will cover them all up, which I'm really excited about because I hate weaving in ends. I think that I've got the same, same feelings about knitting shawls as Charlotte Borey. I'm really excited to get to the end of this and figure out how she deals with the ends, because one of my goals this year is to design my own pattern, and I'm probably going to choose to design a shawl. And if I can get ideas from other patterns about ways to not have to really deal with the ends, that would be awesome. But yeah, I just want to talk about that because that's the number one reason I love this pattern, and I can't believe I just forgot to mention it last time. So that's it for whips. Let's get on to the next segment. So here's where I'll talk a little bit about my other crafts. I usually do some dyeing and some weaving, and I'm trying my hand at spinning a little bit. I didn't do any spinning or dyeing this week, but I did start a new weaving, and I'm really excited about it. My husband got me a beautiful loom from Lost Pond Looms. Well, they're called Lost Pond Looms, but I think that the Etsy shop is Eden Bulrushes, so I'll link that below. But it's awesome. He got me the loom called the Bullfrog. Check them out if you're looking for a loom. I think for the quality, they're very affordable and they're simple. So if you're a beginner weaver, these are great. So I hope you can see it. But this, I'll move my chair, but this is my Bullfrog loom. And it doesn't look that interesting right now because it's not. I'm kind of practicing patient weaving right now. So I'm doing a solid cream tabby from the bottom with a basic cream fringe. And I do have a plan for a chunk in the middle, but the majority of this weaving is going to be cream tabby. I'm kind of loving just the simplicity of back and forth and the feeling of what it feels like to weave. Sorry, I wish I had a better way to say that. I like the physicality of weaving that I don't get with knitting, because knitting is very small and contained to just your hands, but I feel like weaving is a whole body activity, especially when you get into larger weavings, and I love the feeling of the fiber. So it's really fun. I've been loving exploring weaving this year. So yeah, that's all I've got for weaving. I hope to get at least halfway up the loom this week. I didn't really get very much done, but you'll be able to kind of see what I've got planned. It won't be all solid cream because that I know I'm working on patience, but I don't think I have that much patience to do the whole thing solid, and it wouldn't be interesting on my wall anyways. So I do want to show off a little bit of a stash enhancement that I got in the mail just a couple hours ago. Pretty excited. I'm doing the Hedgehog Fibers clubs. I'm doing the skinny single club and the twist sock club. So if you don't have your January clubs yet, this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to show them. So I'm going to give you a second to skip forward. I'll include a link to get to the segment right after this. This is what came in the mail today. This color is called Big Bang. I love it. It's got my favorite neon in it and black. So I'm really excited about that. I might be putting it in a shawl soon. This one, I love the name of it. It's called Space Kitten. It's kind of a melony color. I hope you can see it. Melon and blue and more neon speckles. Those are the skinny singles. And then this is the twist sock for this week. It's a nice kind of minty color with purple and pink and orangey pops in it. Awesome, so excited. I don't normally just want to show off all of my stash enhancements. If I do have plans for it, it's like you'll just see the yarn once it's knit up. But I got these today, so I was really excited, so I just wanted to show them off really quick. But I highly suggest getting the club. If you like speckles and bright colors and fun surprises, the clubs are the way to go, because when I'm shopping Hedgehog Fibers, I have such a hard time picking colors. But this way you get an exclusive color that you can't just buy in the shop, and also the hard part is taken out of the equation. You just get a surprise every month, once a month for 3 months. So now I've got a shelf full of fingering and sock yarns in all these different colors, as opposed to sometimes when I shop for myself, I gravitate towards the same colors, and then I have a shelf full of all the same stuff. So this is an awesome way to add variety if you're not afraid, or if you just like bright, crazy things like this. So highly recommend. You have to be quick though, because they sell out really fast. So follow Hedgehog Fibers on their Instagram or sign up for their emails so that you can be aware of when the next clubs are gonna go. So check it out. So now I'm gonna get into fluff stuff for the week. This is where I talk about kind of more personal things. So if you're just here for the knitting and crafting, I will see you next time. So in my first episode, I talked a lot about my resolutions from 2016, my completed sweater resolutions, and it's still January, so I'm going to talk about my resolutions for this year. I have a few plans. Last year it was very concrete. I wanted a specific number of a specific type of project, which was good. It kept me more organized, and when I was finished with a project, it was helpful if I couldn't think of something that I specifically wanted to cast on. I knew that I had to at least cast on another sweater for my next month's project. So that was awesome and really helpful. And sometimes I get in a rut and I'm like, I can't think of anything to cast on, so I just won't. And then next thing you know, it's 2 months later and I haven't knit anything. So while it was a pretty expensive project, I can't do that again because the sweater's quantity of wool every month, it was a lot. So I'm not gonna go for a finished object every month of a specific category. What I'm gonna do this year is try to learn a new technique each month and put it into a project. I don't have to finish that project, but I at least want to try a new technique, because if I try something and I don't super love it, I'm not gonna finish the project, but at least I will have learned something. So for my January technique, I'm doing Fair Isle, which I had experimented before with it, but I never finished a real project with it. I made a silly little Fair Isle cat sweater, and I was just kind of doing random color work, and she hated the sweater anyway, so I tossed it. It doesn't count. So my Gambier jacket is my Fair Isle project for this month, and it definitely does have to be finished because it is a test knit. So that one will be complete. And I'm loving Fair Isle, so I know that it's not something that I'm just gonna learn and then never do again. So I'm excited about that. I can't decide what to do for my February techniques. If you've got any ideas, let me know. If there's anything that you've always wanted to learn but haven't. I think this year I want to try steeking something. I've always been afraid of that. And I want to try some lace knitting. I've done a little bit of lace before, but a lot of it was with heavier gauge yarn and it was just very basic, simple lace. So it's not really what I think of when I think of a beautiful lace shawl or something. So that might be something I'm gonna try. Brioche was a big thing for me last year. It was new to me, so I was always afraid of it, and then I tried it and it was no big deal. So that's kind of why I want to do a new technique every month. I don't want to be afraid of trying anything anymore. I just want to see something cool and say, hey, I'm going to learn how to do it and have the confidence to do it and then actually follow through. So that should be fun for this year. I've also seen a lot of people doing the box of socks knit along, and I'm not officially doing it. I'm always late to the game. I always miss when these things start. So I don't think I'm gonna participate in the actual knit along, but I still want to have a pair of socks on the needles at all times. So whatever I'm working on, there's always gonna be some socks that are a work in progress. I think it'd be really awesome to have a drawer full of hand knit socks, and if I always have them going throughout the year, they're not all gonna be for me. I'll be able to make some socks for my husband and family members too, because that's a lot of socks. The pair that I'm working on now, I just started a couple days ago, so I usually can knit them pretty fast. Especially since I wear a size US 5.5, so mine at least go really fast. And another thing I want to try, this isn't really a resolution, but I do want to try some cuff down socks. I feel like most people I've seen on Instagram or Ravelry prefer cuff down, and I'm trying to figure out why, because toe up makes so much more sense to me. I don't know if that's because that's how I did my first pair of socks, but with toe up socks, I feel like it'd just be easier to make sure they fit. You know exactly how far to go. You can use as much. If you want to use the whole skein of yarn, it's easy to do that. If you're doing 2 at a time, you don't have to ever worry about yarn chicken or matching lengths or anything like that. Plus, I hate seaming and weaving at ends and things, and if you start toe up with the Judy's Magic cast on, you don't have anything to seam. So I don't know, I'll try it. I bought a couple patterns that I found on sale on Ravelry that are cuff down, and they're really cute socks. I really like them a lot. So if I end up making them, I'll probably cast them on after I finish my current pair, and we'll see how it goes. I think they're really pretty, so I think it's worth a shot, even if they don't end up fitting or working out the way that I want them to. If you're curious, the patterns I'm thinking of are both by Charlotte Borey. She's a designer of the Chances wrap. I had a coupon code from her Instagram that I used to buy the 2 sock patterns. I think one of them is the Gazebra socks and the other pair are Evie or something like that. I will link them below if you want to check them out. So something totally unrelated to knitting and crafting that was a big part of my week was getting rid of my Facebook app. It was not enjoyable for me anymore, and I do like to use it to keep in touch with my friends, but it just got to the point where I'd be scrolling through and it wasn't even fun anymore. And especially with the current political climate, there is a lot of negativity and hurtful attitudes floating around, and I just didn't really need that anymore. It's gotten to the point where I get stressed out to be on Facebook because I have a lot of really strong feelings about a lot of things, but I don't feel like Facebook is the best place to have a meaningful discussion about them. People tend to just get more entrenched in their own ideas and feelings. And I don't know, this is at least my personal experience with it, but it seems like people just want to get their ideas out there, but not actually learn about other people's feelings, if that makes any sense. So I got rid of it. And the moment I deleted the app from my phone, I had a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I used to have the tab open on my web browser all the time, and I haven't even had the desire to go see what I'm missing. It just feels really good to be out of it. I did keep the Messenger app because since I can't text my friends in the US from Germany, I like to have the Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and things like that to keep in touch. But, you know, scrolling through a bunch of people's status updates and things, that didn't really feel like keeping in touch anyway, so it feels awesome to get rid of it. So I challenge everyone to get rid of something in your life that's not totally bringing you joy. So that's it for this week. Thanks for hanging out and having a little chat. Let me know what you're knitting in the comments. And always remember, home is where the stash is. Bye.